Hi everybody, it's Ron Chapman Jr. With Games for Life. It's been a long time since I posted a video, but here we go. This will be Game of the Week, I think number 8. I'm playing white, and this is a actually online blitz game. Okay, F4, E5, Knight F3, E4, Knight E5, and D6, and this is when I try to make it interesting. Like I said, this is just an online blitz game. Knight takes on D7. I don't normally recommend that, but let's see what happens. King takes, E3, Knight to F6, Bishop to C4 check. He pushes a pawn. I back down the bishop. Another bishop out. I probably should have castled here, but I didn't. He threatens my queen. I only have one way to protect the queen. Drop the knight, sorry. Move the knight. He pushes the pawn. He's obviously going to try and squish my bishop into the side here. I give my bishop some space. He pushes down anyway. Bishop to C2, knight, castle, knight. I knew he was aiming his knight for that square. To D3, queen over. He puts his knight there. I have to take, pretty much. I don't have to take, but he takes back with the pawn. So his pawn is obviously very deep, this pawn on D3. That's a very dangerous pawn, but it is locked in, so I just do knight to D4, rook over, pawn up, bishop, I push pawn to B4, king, he retreats, I push my pawns. I'm just thinking of a queenside advance here. Again, I'm just kind of seeing if I can get anything going. Bishop out, that ends up being a pretty bad move, and then he pushes down B5. I lock up A5, and now this that bishop right there on A3 is completely useless. He has nowhere to go. All the pawns of my color blocking him in, so I wasn't sure if that bishop would ever see the light of day again in the game. Knight to H5, king over, queen, and then actually win back that knight that I dropped or that I sacrificed earlier. Because he has no good squares to put his knight on, so he just moves his queen over. I take, he takes. I potentially should have pushed my pawn. I'm not sure. Queen over, he takes with the bishop. Queen drops down. We trade queens. Rook over. I threaten his bishop. Here's it. I threaten to take the pawn. He pushes down, obviously. And then this is when I actually use some tactics. Knight to F5. I'm attacking the knight on D6, but more importantly, after he protects that, I go knight to H6, checking the king and attacking that bishop on F7. He has to move the king. I take that bishop with the idea that once he takes back with either the rook or the king, I grab another pawn. And we're actually, I think, equal material at this point. So then he wants to continue trading, bishop to C7. Instead of trading rooks immediately, because I wouldn't have been able to pull my rook up. I'll show you that real quick. If I had taken on D8, then when he takes back, then I can't pull my rook to the G5 square where I wanted to put it. So that's why the line I did it the way I did it, where I pulled the rook up. He obviously threatens my rook. Now I can take, and when he takes back with the bishop, now my rook is in the middle of the board, which actually has a lot of potential in that square. I'm obviously threatening the bishop, so he protects. I'm threatening to gobble up another pawn. He can't really do anything about it, so he trade off some pawns. I take his pawn, takes, and then I could have taken with the rook. I wasn't sure I wanted to trade rooks just yet. So I take back with the pawn, bishop over. I threaten to take another pawn. Now it's time to get the king involved in the game. Notice my bishop over here on A3 is still doing absolutely nothing for me. But king down, and now I'm going to win yet another pawn. In this case, he could have made it pretty complicated if he had gone rook to E7. I think I would have had to actually take there. Yeah, that may have won him the game, because I pretty much, the reason I can't take on A6 6 is he checks me. I go to F. He takes that pawn. I don't know. That would have been interesting, because now I have the A3 pawn is pretty advanced. I can put the rook behind it, but he can actually, like if I go somewhere like here to try and take this pawn, he can just go here. I mean, if he does free my bishop, he can do that. I could takes, push, and then he gets behind it. I can't do much. So anyway, so that's not how the game continued. So we'll go back a couple moves. So I go here, rook to E6. He threatens my rook. I take pawn. He H5. I threaten to take another pawn. He protects it with his rook. No, I could have started pushing here. Started pushing the A pawn. But before I can do that, he threatens my rook. Obviously, I can't push yet. It's too early. So I make an interesting move. H6. And I think that actually finishes off the game. The idea being that if you notice, his king can't move to any of these squares because of my rook. He can't move to that square, to G5, or to E5 because of my pawn, and he can't move down here because of my king. So he actually can't move his king in this position. If he moves his rook anywhere, like let's say he moves his rook here, then when I take this pawn, he has to move his king out of the way, and then I grab this pawn over here. So that would win me another pawn. So instead, when I go rook to H6, he just threatens my pawn here. So I grab the pawn. He has to move his king, and he actually resigned here. I think he saw the continuation would be rook takes, king takes, pawn push. He's got to protect either by going here or going there. I think that's probably the better move. And then I push F5. He's got to go defend it. I push again. He takes. I step in here. And then I grab another pawn. And then eventually, now I have 1, 2, 3 pawns to his 1. So eventually I'm going to be able to push those pawns. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting game. Some tactical stuff to win some pawns and eventually have a pawn advantage at the end of the game. But you know, knight sack early on, don't recommend it. But like I said, blitz game, thought I'd try it out. Okay, hope you learned something. Talk to you later. Bye.